That Friday night was the most emotionally profound and unforgettable evening of my life. The house had settled into a deep, resonant quiet, a stark contrast to the usual hum of daily life. And within that stillness, I felt a rare and precious calm. I was utterly drained from a long week of work and responsibilities, my only desire to surrender to sleep. As I lay in the dark, I remember thinking nothing could possibly pierce the serene bubble of the night. For 8 years since my divorce, I had been a single mother. My ex-husband and I didn't part with bitterness. Ours was simply a story of two people who, over time, gently grew apart. Our paths diverging until we were more like friendly strangers than partners. Raising my son alone had been the most rewarding and challenging undertaking of my life. He was my world, intelligent, quietly funny, and kind in a way that showed in small, thoughtful gestures. But the weight of being both mother and father, provider and comforter, was a constant cloak I wore. That night I was so exhausted I barely managed to change into my pajamas before collapsing into bed. The silence felt complete. My son had gone to sleep hours earlier after finishing his homework and playing a game. Finally, in the sanctuary of my room, I was alone. Moonlight filtered through the thin curtains, painting soft shadows across the walls. I pulled the blanket close and let my mind drift. Life had found a gentle rhythm lately, a welcome peace after difficult years of adjustment. We had built something stable together in the aftermath. Even though he was nearly grown now, on the edge of adulthood, we remained exceptionally close. Sometimes I worried he carried too much emotional responsibility for someone his age, but I was also quietly proud of the man he was becoming. A faint smile touched my lips as I thought of him. And then exhaustion pulled me under. A soft sound pulled me from the edge of sleep, a gentle, hesitant knock on my bedroom door. At first I thought it was part of a dream, but then it came again, quiet yet persistent. "Mom." His voice brought me fully awake. I blinked, my eyes adjusting to the dim light from the hallway. His outline stood in the doorway, uncertain, almost fragile in a way I hadn't seen in years. "What's wrong?" I asked softly, my voice still heavy with sleep. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him with care. "I couldn't sleep," he said, eyes lowered, fingers tightening slightly at his side. Something in his tone told me this wasn't ordinary restlessness. Since the divorce, he'd had the occasional rough night, but he rarely came to me anymore, not like this. A quiet concern rose in my chest. "Come here," I said, patting the empty space beside me. "You can stay with me tonight." He hesitated only a second before crossing the room and lying down on top of the blanket, facing me. In the soft moonlight, he looked both older and younger at the same time. Nearly a man, yet carrying the same vulnerability he had as a child. "Do you want to talk about it?" I asked gently. He shook his head. "Not really. I just wanted to be close to you." My heart warmed instantly. It had been years since he'd asked for comfort so directly. I brushed a strand of hair back from his forehead. "That's okay," I whispered. "Stay as long as you need." He gave a small, tired smile, but the sadness in his eyes lingered. I didn't push. Some feelings need quiet before they're ready for words. I pulled the blanket over us both, and we lay there in silence, listening to each other breathe. After a while his breathing slowed. Then he spoke again, voice barely above a whisper. "Mom, do you ever miss him?" The question caught me off guard. After all this time, I knew exactly who he meant. "Sometimes," I answered quietly. "But missing someone doesn't always mean things should have stayed the same. Your father and I weren't right together anymore. You know that." He nodded, but his fingers tightened around the edge of the blanket. "Do you ever think it could have been different?" he asked. "If something had changed?" A slow breath left my chest. Old memories stirred. Not painful anymore, but heavy. "Maybe," I said. "But life isn't built on maybes. We can't rewrite the past. We can only choose what we do from here." He stared down at his hands. The silence stretched. Then he said very softly, "Sometimes I feel like, if I had been better, maybe he wouldn't have left." The words went straight through me. I pushed myself up on one elbow and turned fully toward him. "No," I said firmly. "Don't carry that. Not for a second." He didn't look up. "Daniel, listen to me." I continued, my voice steady but full. Adults make their own decisions. Your father's choices were never about you. Not your behavior. Not your grades. Not your personality. None of it. His voice dropped to a whisper. It just feels that way sometimes. I pulled him into an embrace. He stiffened in surprise, then slowly relaxed, his forehead resting against my shoulder like it used to when he was small. You were, and are more than enough, I told him. You have always been the best part of my life. Nothing about that family changed because of you. His breathing shook once, then steadied. Bit by bit, the tension left his body. Within minutes, he drifted into sleep beside me, but my own eyes stayed open in the dark. In the weeks that followed, we talked more openly than we had in years. Not just about the divorce, but about feelings we had both avoided naming. I listened more carefully. He spoke more honestly. The air between us felt clearer, lighter. I gently suggested he speak with a counselor, not because anything was wrong, but because no one should carry old guilt alone. After some thought, he agreed. That decision alone told me how ready he was to grow past the shadows. Our relationship didn't become closer in a clingy way. It became stronger in a healthier one. More adult. More balanced. We began seeing each other not just as mother and son, but as two people who respected each other's inner worlds. I also realized something about myself. For years, I had built my entire identity around being a mother first and everything else second. Love had never been the problem, but direction had drifted. Comfort can sometimes keep you anchored when you should be sailing. One Saturday morning after breakfast, while we were cleaning up, I said casually, I've been thinking about signing up for a class. Maybe pottery. Or French. Something I used to want to try. He looked up surprised, then smiled. Really? That's awesome. What made you think of that? I think I put too many of my own interests on a shelf, I said. And I don't want to only have grocery store stories to tell you for the rest of my life. He laughed, a full easy laugh. I'd still listen to grocery store stories, but yet do the pottery class. That encouragement felt like a fresh wind filling new sails. Healing, I learned, isn't one big moment. It's a series of small, brave choices. Honest talks, new steps, healthier boundaries, and love that supports growth instead of fear. That quiet Friday night didn't blur any lines. It clarified them. It showed us that the purest form of family love is not just comfort, but courage, truth, and the willingness to grow forward together.